Hi teachers, welcome to this tech tip video. The tech tip we'll be talking about is creating a student-facing document to compile all of the students' learning activities over the course of a week. So we might call this guided notes, we might call it a companion document, but the idea is that students have one central place for all of their activities across the week of a unit. So let's look at a few examples so you get a good idea of what we're talking about, and then we'll go through some suggestions for how to create your own such document. So the first example is created by my colleague Stephanie. You might recognize it from Unit 1 if you've done Unit 1, Week 5. So Stephanie took the activities from Week 5. So this is an example of the slide deck. It has the review activity in the slide deck. It has the workshop and the closing and connecting. What Stephanie did is she created a Google document where she actually put together in one place each of those activities. So here you have the review, which is similar to the review slide in the slide deck. Then the editing activity, which she laid out here on the document, again here on the slide deck. And then finally, she has the closing and connecting. Again, kind of transcribing from the slide deck into a separate doc. She does this throughout the whole week. So here is day 2, 5.2, again, the review section, peer editing with instructions, and your closing and connecting going on to day 3. 5.3. So the idea, right, is that students can just open this document for the whole week and have everything in one place and kind of see the sequence of activities and maybe get a clearer picture of how everything fits together. So that's one example by Stephanie. There's a second example created for Unit 4 if you've already done Unit 4. So this is an example of the slide deck from that unit. So again, you have your intro, opening and do now activities, then your before reading, and then you would have your after reading activities. And so what I did here was I created, similar to Stephanie, one Google Doc that has each day of the unit laid out. I focused on the before reading and after reading activities. So here labeled day 1, and you have your before reading. Again, it's just pretty much taken from the slide deck and transferred over. And then you're after the reading all in one place. Day 2, same thing. And before reading and after reading. So the idea with this one, the same thing. Students have one central document where they can go and they can quickly access the different activities that they need to do for the day, and also go back and look quickly if they need to reference back to something they had done in a previous session. So it keeps things a little more organized, maybe helps the students kind of, again, understand the sequence of their learning activities, and can just help them also stay a little bit more organized with the different tasks within one session and within the week. So we'll talk a little bit about some best practices for creating these documents to make them the most effective with students, and some suggestions of what kind of technology to be using. So I usually use Google Docs to create the document. Google Slides is another option as well. If you'd like this to mimic the layout of a paper, you could go to Page Setup, and I would change my dimensions to mimic that of a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11. And then that could, for students, look more kind of like a document that they're used to. In Google Docs, we just recommend creating a header, choosing a font that is going to stick out to students as they scroll through, make it nice and bold. And then I might also change this to the actual title style or header style on the formatting, and that way it's going to pop up here in this outline. And as you can see, Stephanie and I both did this in ours. It creates an easy way for students to click and get to that specific lesson. So again, you would do that by selecting this, going here, and selecting the title. So once you have and you'd need to change it back to the font, the special font you would want, and say update title to match. So all of the titles will have that font and that size. Then from there, you can start to create your before reading, after reading. If you're on week 5, it might be the workshop activities, and just transfer them over to this one document. One thing that had been really helpful was creating kind of this interactive checklist for students. So what happens here, you could write out this various steps that students need to take in the activity. And again, just making it kind of a more appealing font. And students can actually click this and check this off. So it's a nice interactive tool for them to keep track of their work and kind of what they need to do. Moving on to Google Slides, one of the benefits of Google Slides is it's kind of easier to manipulate and move things around if you have a certain image that you want to use. So let's paste an image into here. So if you find an image from the internet that you like that you paste in, you can just move it around really easily on Google Slides, or have the students move it around. Can kind of make it easy to design activities that way. Another helpful feature of Google Slides is that it has a lot of these great options for shapes. So these can be helpful when you're formatting for students, and you want to really draw their attention to one part of the document. And it is a lot more easy to use with the shapes in some ways than Google Docs, because you can, again, move them around a lot easier and adjust the color and everything like that. So again, Google Slides is really helpful if you like the idea of moving things around, having the students move things around on the document as part of their activity or their task, or if you really like that idea for these like very bright, colorful shapes for formatting, which can be helpful again to get students' attention. It does not have the interactive checklist, unfortunately, which again is really helpful for helping the students kind of stay organized with the activity, but it's powerful kind of in other ways as well. One other best practice that I found helpful with the student-facing documents is to actually embed links straight into the document for whatever resource the student might need to complete the task. So I'll show you an example of that, and then also how to actually embed that link. So an example for day 3 of the Sweet Difficult Sounds document, students would have needed to reference the text from day 1 and day 2 to complete this. So here I just embedded those straight here. So students don't have to go look for it. You don't have to send it to them. They actually have it right here. They can click on that and immediately open up that document. So we'll go over quickly how you can do that in your Google Doc or your Google Slide. So if you wanted to embed a link to the text, you might just write link to text here. And then you get the actual link from the document, from the PDF. Go here to share. So this window will pop up and we can say copy link, go back to the document and click the link icon here to insert the link, paste it into there, and now you have a link to whichever file you would like the kids to access. So that, again, can be helpful to keep things flowing so that kids don't have to ask you, oh, what are they talking about? Where do I find this or that? You can put it all in one place for them to see. So hopefully this has been helpful to get you started thinking about your own student-facing documents and how to create those, design them, what kind of things you might want to include. Again, really helpful for helping the kids keep track of their learning activities, reflect back on what they've done previously, and just stay organized overall, and for you also to stay organized.